Hey guys, Brendan here for R&B Reviews. I said I would be talking about Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness over the month of October, as I said in my Evil Dead review. Well, I'm finally doing it, but it's not so much a review as everybody's already seen Army of Darkness and knows the Evil Dead movies, so this is just sort of a ramblings video. I'm just going to ramble on about it like I did with Paranormal Activity. Jump right into it. Evil Dead 2. Now again, the thing about the Evil Dead trilogy is that each of the movies can kind of be viewed in almost any order, and it doesn't really matter. Each movie kind of resets up the sort of mythology of the Evil Dead universe. And Evil Dead 2 is sort of a remake of Evil Dead, only with less teenagers in the cabin, and it's a slight continuation of the story from Evil Dead, but it's like an entirely fresh take. I mean, it's just like the character of Ash is back with like in a cat in the cabin again, and it's like he has no memory of what happened in Evil Dead, and it's just Sam Raimi kind of starts fresh with Evil Dead 2, and here's the Book of the Dead edition, which stunk up my room for a while. There we go. Great film. Couple issues with Evil Dead 2. Now, a lot of people's complaints about the Evil Dead sequels is that they weren't really sequels to the Evil Dead. They were just sort of comedy Evil Dead 2 particularly is just a comedy version of Evil Dead. Well, it's true. If you really want flat out balls to the wall horror, Evil Dead, you know, is it. It's just the only sort of straight horror film Sam Raimi's made. The closest after that I would say is probably Drag Me to Hell, because Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are just like Three Stooges routines in a horror universe. And Evil Dead 2, it's got some great gags in it, and it has a little more horror scenes in it than Army of Darkness does. But there's one particular scene, the first time I was watching the movie, I was watching it with my brother, and people who've seen the movie know the scene I'm talking about, but where Ash takes, you know, a demon head into the woodshed to get to disembowel it, so to speak, and a headless body busts in the door with a chainsaw. Right as soon as that scene happened, my power went out in my house, and the scene just scared the shit out of me. Anyway, that's just sort of talking about one of the things that actually scared me with Evil Dead 2. But there's really nothing. It's a really funny movie. It's got a lot of energy to it, and Bruce Campbell sort of carries a big part of the movie by himself. Like Rob and myself were talking about in the Trick or Treat review with sort of Brian Cox's segment of Trick or Treat, you know, where it sort of is a one-man show. Part of Evil Dead 2 is a one-man show. I mean, he carries much of the first act by himself. It's just sort of Bruce Campbell being horribly tormented, you know, even by his severed hand running around attacking him. Flat out, great movie. This is the version of the movie to get if you don't have it already, although you should. Although it only adds one extra compared to the other DVD release that I had from before. This one I haven't yet to sell. But Evil Dead 2 is a classic. Any Evil Dead fan will tell you that. But Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is my favorite of the Evil Dead trilogy. Well, Army of Darkness is arguably not a horror movie. It's really a comedy sort of set in a horror trilogy. But here's the Boomstick edition, which contains the director's cut, which is fantastic for people who are fans of it. It even has a little sort of article, booklet thing written by Bruce Campbell himself. And although the the picture quality on the director's cut doesn't look that great, if you've seen Army of Darkness and you have not seen the director's cut, you gotta see the director's cut. It adds so much in there. And there's also a version of it playing on the Sci-Fi Channel a few years back that had much of the director's cut in there and the original theatrical ending, and in great quality as well. Unfortunately, the quality on the DVD is sometimes it dips, and sometimes it goes back to, you know, being somewhat good quality. And it also has, the director's cut has the original ending as intended by Sam Raimi. The theatrical ending, which is, you know, Ash and S-Mart and all, was added afterwards, I believe. again, Army of Darkness it's to me, I always find new lines in the movie to crack up over. It's continually funny. Bruce Campbell is just an icon of cult film status, and if you have not seen Army of Darkness, just see it. I mean, you owe it to yourself. It's just one of the best films, and most people out there have seen it, and either love it or hate it. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Sam Raimi's energy in it with the camera work and just the lines they gave Bruce Campbell in that movie crack me up every time. His dialogue is just perfect and his delivery. Army of Darkness is really one of those films where it's just like the actor just makes the film so much better. And it's got these Ray Harryhausen skeleton effects that's also great for fans of old school movies like that, like, you know, Jason and the Argonauts. The movie is fantastic. If you can find it, you know, try to track it down, the Boomstick edition. I was lucky enough to pick this up at Suncoast Video when it was still open around here for like $11 before I even knew it was really the sought-after edition. There's another one out there as well. You know, it's been released about 1,000 times, I believe, on DVD and everything. I mean, they're never going to stop releasing these Evil Dead movies and putting one more extra on each edition, but that's sort of my ramblings on the Evil Dead movies. I love them, and I have plenty of, you know, action figure garbage and all that kind of stuff of the Evil Dead movies. I love them. Granted, it goes from being extreme horror to extreme slapstick comedy. It's really an interesting transition. I don't think any other movie trilogy does that, has a complete tone shift from the first movie to the last, and every movie, you know, your character is kind of... Every kind of character resets, every kind of movie resets the mythology, and it'd be great to see an Evil Dead 4, but it's probably not going to happen. That's okay with me. I'm fine with Army of Darkness being the last installment. For this edition of R&B Reviews, it's Brendan. Thanks for watching.